Hey guys, welcome to Sarakku Cinema Politics. Another movie we're reviewing today, and what we just saw was like a masterclass in movie making. We just saw Aadujeevitham, and it's been almost like a day since we saw it, and it's still not getting out of it. Everything about the movie was just perfect, and we're going to discuss as much as possible in this video, right?
Yeah.
So
Let's get into
let's
it.
get into it.
So
Yeah.
this is our episode 3, right?
Yep.
Episode
3
3.
guys, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Soon it's going to be 300.
I hope so. Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
to hoping to it. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
By the way, you want to talk about the whiskey?
Yes, sure. So, okay, this is what we're having today is a Virginia distillery whiskey. It is a Scotch whiskey, but what the difference is the whiskey was actually made in a coffee cask. So essentially, to explain it a little more, essentially these are barrels where you had coffee beans in the past, and you take those out, and you use those barrels to store that particular whiskey. So it kind of adds a coffee tinge to it. I'm not sure if you sense it already, but that's what it is. So
Is Scotch from America?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Scottish
yeah.
whiskey made in
Yes,
It says
US.
it's a marriage of Scotch malt and American whiskey.
Yeah, they must have
Like it's
imported the
some
malt.
sort of Scotch, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
the name, the distillery is
Alright, let's
Yeah.
get into the movie.
right. So the movie we saw Aadujeevitham, right? So this is based on a real story actually. Well, most of the movie was based on a book which was written, I think 2008 or something. It's about a Malayali immigrant who goes to the Gulf, and he who goes to the Gulf, and he's lost there. Like he's picked up by someone who's not his official sponsor, and how he gets lost and his entire journey. It's unbelievable that this is actually like a true story. I was actually reading that it seems this book was there, and a lot of people thought of making a movie out of this, but it was just a Herculean task and they never got into it. And I can totally see why.
Yeah.
Right? This is movie making, this is like Hollywood level. Like what can't get better than this, right? The desert shots, and really, I mean, Prithviraj should just give him the national award already, right? Like if
For sure.
No, I
yeah.
think this is more than nationals. to be honest.
like if
I have my reservations about it. I think it's more than nationals.
if they don't give the award for this, then I don't know. Then the whole rumor that the national awards are always biased and it's just the ruling party which make up for all this, that is true if they don't give it for this movie.
Oh, the politics of Sarakku
Yeah,
cinema
it's a
politics is
Yes.
out here, guys.
So
This
squeeze
is
that
the third
in,
episode to
squeezed
get
in
into
that also.
Cool. So, initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts. So we've seen a lot of survival movies, right? But this one was just like masterclass in everything, every department, like be it acting, like the locations, they've shot it there, and there's a lot of interviews, and Prithviraj has gone over in detail about like how much they put in effort to do all this, and you can see it why. Like it's breathtaking. Like literally, I think we were discussing during the movie, right? The desert scenes are on par with Dune 2, right? How better can it get? And so it's a survival movie, and technical aspects aside, like it's got A.R. Rahman's score, brilliant, all technical aspects are on point, which you would expect probably in a Malayalam movie. But the acting, like wow, so these kind of survival movies have been done in the past, and we have marveled at the actors pulling off great acting in these movies. But Prithviraj has taken it to a whole another level. It's not just acting like a survivor, bringing in nuances as to different phases of surviving an ordeal, right? There's different phases. Like you're helpless at some point, you are hoping for a miracle at some point, and then you're just lost and you have Stockholm syndrome at some point, right? Conveying all those while not making a step jump in emotional changes. It's also gradual in a 2.5 hour movie. Was just masterclass. Like I can't rave it enough. Like this is not even hyperbole. Like this is probably one of the best acting I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
So
So the first hour of the movie, I was actually kind of struggling to get into it. This is me being a hater as well. There were several parts of the movie that felt like super opera-ish for me, right? Like very soapy, right? Like there was one time, like when Amla Paul, the wife of Najim, right? You know what? I'll go ahead and introduce the characters before we get into that. So we have the titular character, who is Najim or
Najib.
Najib.
Yeah.
Najib, that's Prithviraj, and then you have Najib's friend, the kid from I forgot his name. It starts with M in the movie. Well,
Hakim.
Halim. No, Hakim.
Hakim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have
It's been a day. It's been a day since we saw the
I'm
movie,
thinking
guys.
about Halim, but it's Hakim.
Hakim is also from Kerala, and then you have Ibrahim, who is an African man, whom I loved actually.
Yeah.
And then so these are all the three title characters, and then Najib's wife Amla Paul also has an important role in the first hour of the movie, and I freaking hated her character design. Right? There's literally this one point she's taking a shower, and she's like, "Ooh la 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 la." Do you guys remember?
Yeah.
She's like,
I wouldn't
"Who the
I wouldn't
fuck does that?"
I wouldn't forget Amala Paul Macha. So
I know you.
I have a thought about that, but we'll get into it later.
Right. So she's like her character design and that part of the movie where it was shot in Kerala was too sappy for me, right? Because I'm trying to get into the movie, and then at one point, like 1 hour into the movie, we are back in the desert, Sahara actually, and then he's saying, "I can't take this anymore," and I looked at these boys and I was like, "Boys, I can't take this anymore," because it was 1 hour into the movie and I was struggling. And then the first time they did this like kind of an exposition shot, like when he's talking about one thing and then it kind of merges into a kind
Past.
a kind of a past in Kerala, and how the tools are used. Like the first time it was fun, the second time it was fun. The third time, when it was happening, there is a stream of water that is running.
Oh, by
in
the way,
desert.
this is a completely filled with spoilers review.
Yeah,
So,
we
Right.
already went there.
If
Yeah.
you're planning to watch the movie, go watch the movie and then come back and watch our video.
Yeah.
The recommendation is that you
Yes.
watch the movie in big
Yes.
screen. Don't wait for OTT.
Yeah, the recommendation is please go watch the movie. It's
In
totally
big
worth
screen.
it.
In big
Yeah.
screen.
Or you can just press one account, turn it on and don't watch it, whatever, right?
No, big
Yeah.
screen.
Mhm.
Like for the music, for the visuals, please watch it. Prithviraj freaking killed it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get back into it. So the exposition shot, like when there is this stream of water running into desert, I was like, I know where this is going. Please don't do it. And then A. Rahman started punching his like up chords, like the kind of chords that gives you hope. I was like, fuck it, here we are again. And then like the scene like kind of travels back to Kerala, and that was the last time I was like, I'm so freaking done with that movie. And honestly, I was wrong. That was the last time it happened, and after that, the movie kind of just punched, right? After that, it was we stopped talking. There was no like looking at each other, like there was no like what the heck is happening here, nothing. After that, the movie kind of like tied us in. At some point, I stopped my recliner being a recliner. I kind of like went in like, all like edge of the seat E, and then I'm just like watching Prithviraj put on the far best action, the far best acting I've ever seen in a bit. I was kind of sad. Apparently, Chiyan Vikram was offered this role.
Oh my god.
You know what?
He would have.
Deserve
Wow.
that. I think
Wow.
Prithviraj, what he did there was like.
It's a story of a Malayali, so like
Yeah.
I think there's more honesty.
No, Vikram can't speak Malayalam.
Vikram transforms his body for like even mass movies.
Remote, like, okay, yeah. So we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the movie then picked up, and then there were a couple of times when my eyes were kind of like welled up. I was like, teared up. There were so many nuances into the movie. I can't wait to talk about it. But
Yeah, overall, I love the movie. I do not have the gripe that you do. So, just explain that one small bit of it. The movie is shot very realistically in its entirety, except for the flashback episodes. And I'm okay with that. The reason why I'm okay with that is because that's him thinking about his past. whenever you think about your past, you're usually creating like a fairy tale kind of scenario in your head, right?
Your past, yes.
Right? So, like, it's my first birthday. In my head, I'm imagining it in a way that it's the best thing that has ever happened.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't remember my first birthday.
Right. No,
but
I know.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean.
Memories
So,
tend to have colors.
colors. So, that's what I'm getting from it, is why I was a little more liberal with it. Like, I'm okay with that, because anything that's happening in the present was shot as realistically as it could have been. And this movie needed it. So that's one of the biggest thing which kind of drew me in, because everything that's happening in the present, it really made you feel like, okay, it's really happening to him. You empathize with the characters, you feel for them. Prithviraj absolutely knocked it out of the park. You guys have said it again.
Wow.
I've said it and I'm saying it again. But you feel like I now cannot imagine the real guy in that role. Like, I mean, that's how much I'm into it. Like, with Prithviraj's face on it. That I can't even imagine a different face, even if it's the actual guy who underwent this, because it's based on a true story. That's how it got.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I have to correct this. But Prithvi mentioned that this was based on true story, right? Like it's inspired from a true story. It's not based on true story.
Well, the movie, by the way, can I correct this again? The director thinks that it's based on a true story because it said based on a true story as the first.
But like you go read up about it. The writer Benjamin, he's the writer for Goatlife, and he's the guy who interviewed Najib, the Najib. But we don't even know Najib was Malayali actually. Okay, so we just know that you know what? I've heard this story. Like, there is one distant uncle of mine who was complaining about that bread gabusha, like whatever, right? The bread, like, on how they had to dip it in water, and it doesn't take away the pain. I just wanted to correct that. It is not like based on true story. It is inspired from a true story, which made it into a novel, and then the novel is fully
adapted into
transcribed into the movie.
Right.
Cool. Anyways, like, absolutely loved the movie. Loved the score as well for the most part. I have I have a gripe about a couple of things that A.R. Rahman made as choices, but otherwise loved the score. Cinematography was like out of the world. I mean, you wouldn't. And I'm so happy for Malayalam cinema. Like, I mean, this year they produced Manjumal Boys and they produced this movie. Both are sort of survivor movies.
There was Brahma Yugam. There was Premalu.
No, I'm talking about these two because both are survival movies. Like, both are like in sort of in the same genre, but Manjumal Boys had to be made the way Manjumal Boys was made, and this movie had to be made the way this was made, and that was like, I mean, it's really amazing that the film industry is able to understand that nuance and produce things like this. So I absolutely love that part.
It's almost like a given. That they'll do a great job at technical elements for sure. Anyway,
and technical elements you mean writing as well.
And well, more like sound mixing,
sound design.
Of course, they have an Oscar winner there. But so and then cinematography. But then what blows me away about Malayalam technicians is that they don't just stop at being good. They want to be best. For example, just the way they've shot the desert and the scenes, that itself is a great cinematography leap. That itself I'm already sold.
I don't think the reference is any other Indian movie.
Right, exactly. They don't have a reference.
No, I think the reference is they're punching way above.
Right. And then some more choices which they make, like you would think I'm already sold into this world, and yet they don't stop there. Like the aerial shots of the goat moving out of the pack. Such beautiful shots, wow. I mean, and look, technical aspects, fantastic.
One thing to add to what you were saying. So, it's always a balance, right? So, one is trying to make it cinematically beautiful, which this movie is already.
Right.
But second, it shouldn't come in the way of your narrative.
Yes.
Which I feel like they did a great job by making some really hard decisions. Like, for example, in the entire movie, there was no use of shaky cam. like 99% of the movie is shot with a still cam, and that is for you to feel the sense that he's alone, like he's on his own.
No, though.
Except for when there is like goats around him, like, you know, to feel that
so
confusion.
I actually had a problem with this because I've been trying to like hold my tongue for a bit, because cinematography wise I have two issues with the movie, right? One, the nightlight wasn't natural to me, right? Like it was almost like someone shining a torchlight, especially the first sequence in the night in the desert of Sahara, where he's just sleeping inside a tent. That's his first night, Najib's first night in Sahara. There's just like freaking light in his face, like coming out of the tent. Right? Like
light is bouncing off of the sand, like I mean there is
sand is
a star covered sky.
Did not like that. Two, the shaky camera was there when there were dialogues, right? Like, and I kind of get that call. So when you and I
when there's dialogue, which means there are more than one person, right?
Right.
Which I'm okay with. Like what I would have had a gripe with is, let's say there's a shot of Prithviraj running through the desert, right?
And
you're trying to use a
the
shaky
bone
camera,
ultimate,
right?
Thank you for that.
So
Yeah.
instead they used a steady cam, because the minute you make it a shaky cam,
I just wanted to make that correction, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was handycam involved for sure. It was a good call. It was made when people are talking to each other, and it kind of like kept there was something about that frame, like it kind of it was an ick. It's a personal ick. It's not. This is not like my criticism. It's a personal ick. Like I couldn't, like, you know, their hair is getting cut off or their chin is getting cut off while they're talking to each other, and I felt like that was the camera movement. But it also imparted this personal feel to like what's happening there, right? But at the same time, what Saitu was saying, like when like the action sequences are happening, and there are action sequences, not in the classical sense of action sequences, except that you're jumping, your heart is jumping out of your chest, right? So in those sequences, the vista was like panoramic, right?
Yeah.
And all you see is just elements and humans in it, right? By elements, I mean like rain, desert, heat, and humans, right? Like just a broad vista. And that was an excellent call, and it worked out.
And imagine how difficult it would have been to get that on camera,
Right?
Because you would have had a huge crew to shoot something like this. They have to make sure that they're not disturbing the sand. There shouldn't be any footprints. There shouldn't be any.
That one scene where the camera kind of pans out and it shows the entire vista of the desert. It's just all you see is like
Prithviraj and
tracks
and
a few people, right?
Right.
The thing is,
they could achieve that.
so the thing is, like, see, there can be two ways. See, this is a movie where it's a personal journey in a desert. Like what I'm trying to say is, movies, let's say they pick a desert environment, right? Then you have to show to the audience the gravity of the situation, like how big of a problem it is for him. For that, they choose these panoramic shots of the whole desert to give you a feeling as to how big of a problem this is. While also, it's a personal journey for him. How does he connect with the goats? That's the other part of it. How, because of him accepting his life, he ends up making a connection with the goats. Now, when you want to show that journey, you have to show a close-up camera now. Look at the challenge. First, you have to show the personal attachment to the goats, for which you need a close-up shot, which is why significant amount of the movie focuses on his eyes. While also, in order to show the big problem he has, they have to keep juxtaposing the desert sheets of the genius in the editing work there is, it never felt like once I'm seeing close-up, once I'm seeing panorama, it never felt like that.
No, so if the point was to convey that, like, if at some point he is considering not leaving there, it was done. Right? Because of the... Speaking of, we should probably get into it. What are all your favorite specific scenes, specific shots? Because we already got into that goat.
Right.
We want to mention that.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead?
My favorite scene is, of course, the scene where he's running. A.R. Rahman music, him running, the still camera which you spoke about, and that scene got me. Like, I knew the movie will have a scene like that where he sees a ray of hope and he runs towards that to create that moment for you. and I was still like so everything was just beautiful in theater. That scene, that was my
Any
favorite
other
scene.
scenes that comes to your mind?
The one other scene which comes to my mind is that, one which really broke me. This is not a technical scene, but towards the end, one scene which really broke me was that so much has happened. He has somehow managed to escape, and then he goes to the jail, and then now he is at the mercy of them deciding whether he was their slave or not. That really broke me. That really broke me. So his life just right now depends on whether the sponsor recognizes him or not.
Oh, by the way, a fun tidbit, like during the movie, like when we were given the interval, like this was a late night show, right? Like, it started off at 10:10. So the interval was at like 11:30 or something, and then when we walked out, there was another kafil, like who was waiting for me and Venki, who was super pissed with us for anything we asked. Like we said, "Is there a vending machine?" He was like, "No, go." Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my milk? Like
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean, we're actually laughing at this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like white boy, chill. Like we just asked you where the vending machine was.
Yeah.
Right.
He was super pissed with us for some reason. Anyways, yeah.
Okay, so
Like-
scenes. Macha, feel
Yeah.
free to jump in whenever you think of, because I know there are great many scenes right?
100%.
The movie is filled with that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the first time I was actually like sitting up straight is there's this one part in the movie before the interval where he catches a glimpse of himself, right? And then this concept of undoing of a man, right? Like what happens to a man when he doesn't remember or believe in himself anymore, right? I've seen this happen in real life, which is kind of painful.
Yeah.
But that's what happened to the guy who was there before, the Hindi guy,
Yeah.
the Bihari guy.
He has Stockholm syndrome into his life. Like
Yeah.
he's accepted it now. Yeah.
I don't know if that's Stockholm. Stockholm syndrome is when you fall in love with your characters, right? Like
No. Not necessarily love.
we'll get back there.
Right.
So for me, it's when he catches a glimpse of himself in a mirror, in an accidental mirror, and he looks at himself and he's like, "Who the fuck is that?" Right? So that's when Stockholm effect and his reality kind of cuts into it, and he's just looking at it and he's like, "I can't believe this. I need to get out of here."
That's a great
Right?
pick.
And when Prithviraj acted that sequence out, that is a national award.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
The breakdown.
he wasn't loud, he wasn't subtle, he was, oh my god, that was literally, there were gasps.
Right.
Granted, we were watching a movie with a lot of Malayalis, and Malayalis tend to be very, I think
What is the racist comment you're about to make?
No. I think they enjoy movies a lot.
Oh, nice done, Venki.
No kidding, what?
Yeah.
It's literally,
Kidding, yeah.
there was one other scene, literally the family next to me in the left arm of my side, they were right? And then I saw her look around, and saw aunty's closing her face, right? And I was closing my face too for a different reason, but but that's how the way they were watching the movie, or the movie invoked it in us, right?
Yeah.
That's scene number one. Scene number two was the interval block, or the opening scene, where his Aadujeevitham has happened, right? Goat life has happened. He is part of the goat. He is just drinking water in the
Yeah.
tank that was supposed to be for the goats, and he's one among them.
Yeah.
Right?
By the way, that's also the opening shot of the movie.
Yeah.
Just mentioned that. Yeah. And then, so that was kind of a wow sequence for me. The third sequence was towards the end of the movie, and then this is where you are left alone between your dehydration and the challenge that you have for your faith. Right? You don't, do you still believe in your God, right? And then they wake up and then they see the sunrise, and then they see Ibrahim, right?
Yeah.
And Ibrahim is played by this, I forgot his name, Jean someone. He's an African man who's in France right now. And he had perhaps the most interesting, acting chops in the movie, right?
Yeah.
And his act, he got me, man. He got me tearing up, a lot of times.
Yeah.
That one scene when he is the lyrics of perhaps one of the recent Air Rahman hits. Penyone Rahmane. Penyone Rahmane is playing, and then it's saying like, "Oh, my prophet shows the way." And then that's when this African man is like sitting up, and then there is like silhouette of sunrise behind him.
Right behind him, yeah.
Goosebumps, right?
Yeah.
Like that was a cinematic high for me. And then the other one is when Chait mentioned, right? Like to mention, like to show like how big of this desert is. They're just like zooming out, and then that's when you see like you don't see a helicopter shadow in there. You don't see anything in there. You don't see any other tracks, tracks, nothing. It's just these guys have been made to walk for like so long just to get that shot in, and it shows, right?
Yeah.
That sequence gutted me. And there are political things about the movie that I want to talk about, not right now, but like these are all the scenes that did it for me. How about you?
I think you guys mentioned most of the scenes that got me too. But one of the main things was Prithviraj's breakdown when he looks at himself after years, right? That's definitely right up there. The other thing that also got me was, despite that, him reserving his favorite clothes when he's about to leave, and him actually getting back into. So there's a beautiful sequence where like he strips himself off the clothes that are given to him by his kafil, and he goes and bathes in the water, and his acting there and the way the whole thing was shot, absolutely wonderful. I mean, Prithviraj's
that's when the
physical
gasping.
transformation.
That's when the gasping from the aunties happened.
Guys, we're talking.
That's when he strips off his clothes and then you look
the
at
physical
like.
transformation is like incredible.
This is Christian Bale level transformation.
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
And the guy then goes and
For a
puts
movie
his
that's
other
not
clothes on. He knows that he's already been there for years. He knows that he shouldn't be walking with his regular slippers on.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want anything to do with that place at that point.
Right.
Despite that, like he takes that off.
Yeah.
He takes his shoes off.
I was
and
thinking
puts
it was dumb, right? Like, wear your shoes.
It
but
was dumb.
he-
I would have
But
put
without it, he wouldn't move, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
But like,
I am done with this place.
Yeah.
Right.
So to have that kind of resolve despite like all the things that he's been through, I think the way they captured that, like I think it was incredible, and that was one of the most moving scenes for me.
Yeah.
So detailing wise, I think the dehydration delirium that happens when what's his name?
Hakim.
Hakim.
Yeah.
That was gutting.
Yeah.
Like that is like as real like as it could get to watch someone go through their final moments when they're completely dehydrated.
Right.
But yeah, like we'll move on. Like, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Music, politics of it.
There's one thing, sound design, I think was they just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Sound
Russell
design
Cook.
was
Yes.
so
He is
good.
a genius, man.
No, by the way,
He's a genius.
Let me jump in.
Yeah.
What is the genius moment for you?
In terms of music?
Sound
I'll tell you
design-
for me,
sound
like I
design.
mean, since I brought it up, for me, like there is, there were two actually. One of them was like when they're in the desert storm, the storm starts, and then like his shirt is fluttering, and you can actually hear the flutter.
Almost like a helicopter.
Yeah.
You can hear the
Right.
shirt hitting against his body.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
That
I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was.
I feel like I'm there.
Same.
And
I
I
felt
feel
that.
like I'm there not because of the shot. The shot, everyone's done it already.
Right.
I'm there because Russell Pukati, like,
Yeah, it
included
almost
the-
is like a helicopter. Like
Yeah,
I remember that because I thought like guys. Because there is already a tire track and all that, no?
Right.
Yeah.
Like that is revealed in the movie. So I thought like maybe now this is like a you know how this part of the desert is known for like tourist activities, right? So I thought maybe a helicopter has spotted them, like these guys are safe.
Right.
Spoiler alert, it's not the case.
Right.
It's just his like shirt like fluttering.
fluttering against
Right.
his body.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it also forecasts what's gonna happen next.
Right.
Right.
Right? That was I
Yeah.
noticed that. Okay, what was the
Yeah.
second moment?
The second moment was like when there is a scene in the end, like when he eventually finds the road. It's revealed to us through a bottle rolling down the sand and eventually getting to the tar road.
Yeah. Yeah.
it couldn't have been done more accurately.
Okay.
Like, you
Thank
know,
God you didn't mention what I was going to say.
so, like he first, like, you know, drinks the water which is there inside the bottle, like, you know, pops, like there's a small, like, you know, date that's in there. The sound of the date, like all of that. Okay, fine. Yeah, people have gotten it right in the past as well. But as it's rolling through the sand, you can actually, it's not
Hear
yeah, you can actually feel the sand brushing against the glass bottle, and then when it meets the tar road, the clink. I mean, those are kind of things which there are easier way to get done with. But then you spend that extra effort to actually get that right, which I absolutely love.
Okay, I have one more thing to add to that sound design thing. Okay, so subtly done. Before he discovers that Ibrahim has left that Coca-Cola bottle with him, right? He's sleeping, and he wakes up, and there is no Ibrahim anymore.
Right.
We now know the reason why. We'll talk about that later, okay? But then, like, you know how he wakes up? He wakes up because he actually hears, like, cars passing.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is, like, and it is revealed that there was jeep tracks and all, like, in there, and we all know that, like, you know, this part of the world, like, they do this kind of desert tourism thing, like that. This is common, right? So I was thinking, like, okay, so there is already cars, right? He wakes up to that, and then, like, he's just like, and then there is so many other things that's happening, and he's delirious. But then Rasul Pukudi has surgical strike his first notice to you that, like, the road is here, the road is here, right? In there, in that specific moment. To me, that is a cinematic high for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Machi?
Sound wise, I mean, this movie is so brilliant in all aspects that if I have to say something, if at all, then my one issue, okay, I'll explain how the sound and sound design comes into play. I felt like A.R. Rahman's BGM score, like, if let's say I heard the BGM score before the movie released, I wouldn't have guessed where it was set up, the milieu. The music did not convey the milieu for me. It felt like
of it is not there.
it felt like a generic Survivor kind of music. It could have probably worked even in like someone stuck in a cave kind of environment. I think the sound design bridges the milieu with the sound. That's where I felt like it's too good.
Like,
I
that
see.
was one of the.
I see.
I don't know, Venki, if you were there by then already or not. But like one of the scenes that right at the. Actually, you were there by then. Actually, so when they show the desert for the first time, it's accompanied by like music of a flute playing.
Yes.
And it's a traditional Indian bamboo-made flute, right? It somehow didn't like. Both those things didn't go well to me. Like, I mean, that kind of flute.
This was
in
our
that
problem
environment-
with A.R. Rahman in Ponniyin Selvan as well. There was this Middle Eastern sound in Ponniyin Selvan, no?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
saying,
the
we
AR
need to swap Aadujeevitham and
the A.R. Rahman loving, like, Macham,
No, but
the
you know
honest
the
truth.
sound we are talking about.
I know. The honest.
No. We'll talk about this for a second.
Right.
So there is this one specific chant in Ponniyin Selvan.
Yeah.
It's when Aishwarya Rai and Vikram meets for
Yeah.
the first time, okay? And then this sound is like, right?
Yeah.
Same sound was used in Ravanan.
Right.
Ravan. There is one job you have to do where it's like, bro, these two are meeting, don't bring memories from that movie here.
Yeah.
And Talaivar goes ahead and does that.
I also felt that, but I was unwilling to say it because the A.R. Rahman loving guy in me is like, don't acknowledge that. Like,
No,
just forget about it.
So
Yeah.
he's an A.R. Rahman lover, Ilayaraja lover.
Hey, by the way, it's no.
That's when you
Ilayaraja.
explain to yourself, you know, the flute is depicting that the Malayali who was in the desert. You know,
You want to come up with an explanation for that? Yeah. Things we do, right? Things we do to convince ourselves that like our idols are great.
Okay, so music.
Music, good enough. Good enough.
Which means you have qualms about it.
Like I said right now, like I think the movie, I think the BGM had scope to also introduce some nuances to fit into the milieu also. It felt a little too generic survival movie BGM.
No, the one time it pissed me off is that when one of those exposition scenes is happening and it's like the scene is like transitioning from desert to Kerala. I saw that coming, and then the music unnecessarily becomes upbeat, right? I was like, yo, like that's not correct, right? Like
Right.
so. But then the second half of the movie, the music was transcendental.
Yeah.
It was like
100%.
witnessing old Rahman, right?
100%.
The Periyare Rahmane song.
Yeah.
This is one of like the most commonly attributed problems to Rahman is that he uses a song as a BGM throughout the movie, right? Like it's not done like when Ilayaraja does it, it's done differently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is like the same exact tune, but you just slow down the BPM and then you have like an acoustic version or like some version of the same song. Right?
Correct.
So this movie, it worked big time.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yes.
however many times it was done, it was played. I'm not a believer. I don't even believe in any gods. I'm an atheist. For me, I was like, Kwaja mere Kwaja. Right?
Yeah.
It was that like beautiful for me. And
Right.
second half of the movie, music really worked for me. First half, it didn't work. The song was, I was just, please just fast forward. Fast forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, music overall, I think I already spoke
About it. Yeah.
So I like it overall, but like there are a couple of things which I think could have been done differently.
Right.
One other thing, like one gripe that I do have with the movie, this is not about music, is about editing. Srikar Prasad, who's the editor of the movie, is an all-time great. But to me, it felt like all of the scenes, though they were deliberate, were stretched out by 5 seconds. Like for example, they're in a desert storm, right? There's like a lot of sand hitting against them and like whatnot. They're trying to move out of it, like they're trying to cover themselves. You've already done that like 40 seconds. I felt it. I felt what you want me to feel, but it goes on for another 5 seconds. It's a deliberate choice. It's very evident that it's a deliberate choice by the director
Of a
actually.
movie of its
Because you
caliber,
want
we
you
don't.
to.
Yeah.
You want me to feel that.
Right.
But I do feel like all those 5 seconds, which happens almost every 5 minutes, if you kind of chop that off, you would have easily saved like 15 minutes away. Like you could have chopped off like 15 minutes of the movie away, which could have made it a
Which
little
is a
more
very
crisper.
important call. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one thing that I felt I had a small gripe
Yeah.
with, but I mean,
To
because
kind of-
I love Srikar Prasad, I'm attributing that
Yeah.
to the director.
to kind of like rephrase what you're saying, I think I agree with you. I suppose the point is there are some scenes where you want the audience to feel what he's feeling, and then there are some scenes where you want the audience is curious as to know what's next.
It may be
I think the
That's what I feel
the scene
it could be my own bias or
no, I think I agree with you. I think what is happening is that there are some scene stretching really works when you want the audience to also feel what the protagonist is feeling. Okay, so it works there. But then there are some scenes where the audience wants to know what happens next. There you don't want the scene to stretch.
But
That's the problem
shall I
there.
tell you guys something
But he
else?
chose to stretch it everywhere. So
Shall I tell you guys something else? This whole movie, all I see is like two movies struggling between each other. Okay, so one is this like really sappy version of a movie that has like cheesy music, that has like cheesy action sequence, like you know Amala Paul doing all of this song, this and that, and then there is another movie, right? Let me ask you guys this: did Amala Paul, there is a wife and there is a child, acting as an emotional anchor for this character, was ever important for you guys in this movie?
yes,
To me, it wasn't even explored. It was a nothing burger for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't explored. I agree with that, but I was okay with it. Like for the same reason that I like.
No,
told you
so
earlier.
okay, the objective of the Amala Paul role is that to tell you, hey, he had a good life in Kerala, he didn't need this. Okay,
No, but like,
if that is
it has to be more than like same.
no, let me complete,
same
Machan.
thing. Okay.
If that's the the objective of introducing that role is to show that, right? And I bought into that.
Then there is so much screen time spent on that character. If this is the objective, right? Then there is so much screen time that is spent on the character.
Well, you could argue.
Compare this with what is the Tom Hanks movie?
Castaway.
Compare this with Castaway, right? He also has this like emotional hang-ups that keeps him afloat, that he wants to get back to, right? But that was done much more clearly than like the Samlapal character. To me, right? Like, anyway, it's just me.
Fair enough, yeah, of course. This is art, like each of us have our own views. But
so if you take that part out of the movie, this movie works, like, even if it's a single guy, this movie works for me.
Right.
fair enough, it would work for me also. But I get the objective of the director to put that also in, because there's a difference between a slave in India going and becoming a slave in Gulf versus you there's an additional amount of sympathy or drama when you think like he
So
didn't
you
need
had
this.
it, huh?
He didn't. I had that.
Did you have it?
I had
What?
that.
That
Additional
He didn't need this,
emotional
like, he didn't need
connect
this,
because
yeah.
of Amlapal.
Yeah,
I
little
did
bit.
too. I did too.
Maybe it's
I
just
did
me.
too.
Maybe it's just
Yeah,
me.
I did too. Like,
And your view is understandable too. I get it.
Yeah. It didn't, to me, it's like, as
Yeah.
it's a
as
valid
much as
thing. I
love
can
this
see
movie,
how you would interpret it that way or
Right.
like feel that way.
Yeah, I get your point
either
also.
it should have been explored much more deeply, or it should have been cut out to make a movie about survival.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people resonate with you.
okay.
So having
Cool.
since we spoke, yeah,
I mean, I think
We have to wrap this
we've
up.
sort of like discussed most of the things we wanted to say. So just want to wrap things up to, you know, final comments,
final.
thoughts, any specific things you
One
wanted
second,
to call out.
one second. Politics of the movie.
Sure.
Okay. Politics of the movie, because I think that's a very important thing that the movie did really well. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Not about the politics of it, the philosophy of it. I mean, I tend to go there anyway, either ways. It really, the movie, look, we have spoken so much about the technical aspect of it and everything. Usually, when such technically brilliant movies happen, you marvel at that. But this is a movie, in spite of great acting, technical aspects of it, when you go back home, you start feeling how privileged your life is.
Yeah.
Like-
I think that was the conversation you and I had.
Right.
on the
Like,
way back.
forget about everything else. How privileged our life is. Look at this. There's this random Kerala guy who just went off to Gulf on blind faith that someone's going to take care of him, someone's going to give him a job, and then lived his life, got stuck there.
So we established the time period as 91 to 93.
Right.
No, this is something different.
So what- yeah.
The movie happens between 91 to 95.
Right. Yeah, what really made me think is that there are so many people for whom this life is okay. Like, think about it. Like, here we are complaining about like H1B visas or time of green cards, and then there's a significant amount of Indian population
I think it's the same
for whom running to Gulf and being okay in a Khilafa kind of system where someone just takes off your passport but you just have to be his slave is
But, like,
acceptable. It's
that's not-
okay.
Okay, anyway, we'll
That-
get to it in a different point.
That really,
that's
like,
why I want
broke
to talk
me.
about the politics of the movie, because you are saying it's two different things. I'm saying it's the same thing, right? Like, it's pre-globalization in India. It's 91 to 95, and this is like, this is the only path that you can take.
But the Malayalis going to Gulf is even a current phenomena. It's not
No,
the
that-
90s phenomenon. It's
no.
happening even now. Even
No,
now,
see, but
yeah.
like right now, okay,
Yeah.
so now can I go ahead?
Sure.
Okay, so the latest, like the past 15 years of Malayalam movies, they've been talking about, like, they've been romanticizing this Gulf life, right? So you see, like, what is that movie with the crap? So, like, I'm forgetting the movie titles.
Forget the movie.
Forget the movie titles.
Right.
Like, the past 3-4 movies that are like really great coming out of Kerala, it's like, it's bunch of boys that are shooting shit, like even Tallumala boys, Tallumala, right? So it's like, they're just like happy-go-lucky guys, and like end of the day, like when everything, they're fucked over everything, they're fucked over like, political system, they're fucked over like police, or they have multiple cases. Everything is like written off, because at the end of the day, they can go to Dubai. They can go to Gulf. Like, there is this romanticization of like, go to Gulf and like everything becomes better.
I think it's not romanticization, it's an acceptance of it being
What
a
is the
war.
movie with like that pork cutting butchers and
I don't recollect it.
come of age movie.
Okay.
I'll add it in post. I'll add the title of the movie in the post. But then there's this another movie, like, you know, where this like come of age guy, like, you know, and then everything is fucked, but at the end of the movie, it's all happy-go-lucky ending because they found their way. Like the movie ends with this guy like having a video call with this girl, like over WhatsApp from a crane. He's operating a crane in Dubai. Right.
Yeah.
So I've always felt like this over fetishization of like Gulf life, this over romanticization of Gulf life is like, you know, it's probably not good or probably not the truth. But then like this movie goes like into the grains of it. Like, you know, there is this another thing that happens, right? And then while it is doing it, like you notice that like, you know, from seeing what we have seen, what Bollywood does in the past 10 years, who do you vilify? Who's the villain, right? You see these two Arabis being like, you know, being like the
Yes.
utmost like
There's a
low life characters.
there's a clear deliberate choice of making them the villains.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the guy who rescues them from the road, the guy who rescues Najib from the road, he is another Arabi as well. And then from that point on, like you show that like, you know, hey, like I'm not saying all Arabis are bad, like Arabis like have this
There's a
right.
spectrum.
And then you think about why did this Arabi just not like go drop him in a hospital, because hospitalization, like medical care is free in UAE, right? Why did he not do that? Why did he just like drop this like almost dying guy like in streets? Because he knew if he go there and this guy is actually an illegal, he will actually be sent to jail, right? So he's preventing that, right? So all of these things that is unsaid about that character, the Rolls Royce Arabi Sheikh character, I love that about the movie. And then another aspect of it is like, you know, he doesn't have hatred, like Najib doesn't have hatred towards Arabi at the end of it. He's like, bro, this land and I am like, we are done, I'm just heading back, right? So I felt like that was a very nuanced, deliberate position the movie took, and I really appreciated for it. Despite there is all the avenues, all the possibilities where it could be like all Arabis are there. Right.
Interestingly, you touched on it, right? That's what makes it even more heartbreaking. Actually, like when I think about it, because
who do you hate?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's become so much part of their lives that slavery in the Gulf is just accepted behavior. It's just that's how it is, right? Hey, that's how it is, and that's the worst state any like humanity can go to, where you accept established power order.
No, that's why I think this movie will click in the West, because now it explores this.
Speaking of which,
I hope so. Go ahead.
I think, in my opinion, unless something else comes out, when you think about like submissions for Oscar and things like that, right? One, yes, technical brilliance, that there's acting prowess, like how it's made, and all of those things on one side of it. The other thing is being able for the politics of it. I think this is a really good movie for India to submit for Oscars.
Yeah.
Bro, they're pissed if they don't.
Yeah, but if they
Some
do not,
other movie from Gujarat that's going to
a 12th fail is the submission. Calm down.
I am gonna change my political leanings if they do that.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah. So, anyways.
No, Ibrahim, do we have time to talk about Ibrahim now?
Let him.
I don't think we have time. But like, actually, speaking about politics, actually, that was the only one thing that I had. I loved what the movie did with Ibrahim. And how they kind of... Ibrahim is not dead.
He is not dead.
Yeah.
By the time Prithviraj wakes up, he has just left.
No.
And then the next time you actually see his face, is
He's
as a wanted person in the police station.
No. Next time he's gonna do something, he's gonna rescue more people out of the desert, and
Yeah.
he's gonna bring them up to the road.
No, that's all that's your interpretation, right? Like, from a movie standpoint.
I would like correction here. The way I interpreted this movie is like, there's a reason he brought these boys up until to the road, and then he left Najib there, because at that point it is impossible for you to not make it to the road with this like one Coca-Cola can and one date in it, because he knows he can make it to the road because he's a wanted criminal.
Yeah.
Wanted criminal.
Yeah.
And then whatever he did, like this do or die thing that he did for the
Yeah.
whole thing. It's not for himself. He's actually just saving these two brothers.
Yeah, that scene when they reveal his yeah. that scene where they show their photo in the police station was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
We understood
So,
what
yeah.
he was doing.
The politics there was like very clear, nuanced, didn't say too much but said a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Like,
his
amazing.
acting also kind of like that Guruji kind of thing that he was
Yeah.
doing. It was wow.
Oh, you're into Gurujis now.
Right. So okay, so guys, I think we have closing thoughts, guys. Closing thoughts.
No, you have already given the closing thoughts.
Final closing thought. It's all in the name, guys. Prithvi.
No,
It's all in the name. So final thought.
Okay, rating.
Rating. Definitely acting is one of the.
Rating.
Don't break it down.
One rating. Okay, out of 10. Out of 10. Out of 10.
Always out of 10.
9 on 10.
8.5.
7.
7.
Yeah.
And then this fellow
No, IMDb is 9.3. So
8.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 7 for me.
But Prithviraj National Award for sure. Unanimous agreement on
No,
that.
we also are in unanimous agreement where we are saying India has to send this to
Yes.
Oscar.
Yes, please,
And this
please.
movie deserves a national award for Prithviraj's
But
acting.
remember what
Yeah.
If neither of those happen, Venki is going to strip naked. In the next episode.
Like
Or
Prithviraj-
not in the next episode. Whenever that episode.
Like Prithviraj in the movie, another spoiler.
Yeah. We might not give you a full frontal, but back you will be there.
Full frontal, also like in the movie. There are too many crotch shots, right?
Hey, all of this is cut off. You guys know.
Why is this
Yeah.
cut off? Not cut off.
Done.
Okay,
Yeah.
This is going to be there.
So, I mean, if I can get my 6 packs that way,
Yeah.
Why not, right? Yeah.
why not?
Machi, we're done, right?
Yeah.
But as we're speaking, like some of the scenes were coming
that
into
we'll
mind.
speak after the video.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Yes.
Great
So we're
video.
done.
Thank you for listening. to
Please
this.
watch this
Cheers,
movie.
guys.
No,
Yeah.
watch it in theaters.
Yes.
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 Don't wait for OTT.
Yes.
This is not
100%.
movie.